Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a surprise to me, but okay, we'll navigate through this. Dr. Ryan always allows me the privilege of coming here and rambling. He lets me ramble to his junior seminar about math education. And why does he let me ramble about math education? I think the hope is that I recruit some of you to teach math. I think if I have not seen you at this point, you're probably not considering it. But just as a show of hands, who has never been to my office has at some point considered teaching math? Beautiful. That is okay. See, I did not reveal who has been to my office. It's a beautiful thing. So again, I'm not here to convince you to stop by my office and become a math teacher, but I'm here to talk to you about math education and notion of personal responsibility. I am not a mathematician, so already in this room, every single one of you is more qualified than me to teach math. Fair enough? To me, math is like Shakespeare. It's a mystery. I admire Shakespeare because, you know, how could somebody come up with this? When I look at advanced math, I look at it, man, these people have to be smart. But I do enjoy math a lot. I'm going to let you quickly read that short excerpt from an apocryphal legend. This is a legend that I loved reading as a kid. I'm going to ask you a question, so it's going to be a test. So there's two names there. With a show of hands, as he showed me fingers, yes, you know one of the names you recognize, two of the names you recognize. I think there's only two. Mabatahan, that's the author. Let's talk about the historical ones. Show of hands, how many names do you recognize? And I'm going to take a bet you recognize Artaxerxes. Yes? Who recognized Artaxerxes from me? Everybody put up one. Nobody recognized that one? Who recognized Hippocrates? Awesome. Who is he? Who was he? Because he is long dead. Gamble.
He's the mathematician who is like credited with trig.
Close. We're getting close. Nobody ever heard of him, but have you heard of the Hippocratic Oath? What is that? He is responsible for that. Hence, why he was asked, what should I do? And that's to cure these things. Teach them arithmetic. And you know, I had a math college professor who loved that phrase. Of course, he would make you believe it is historical, but I can tell you it's apocryphal. The name down there is a pseudonym. This story, I won't tell you what the original language is, but I can tell you, you will enjoy it a lot more in any kind of Latin language translation because it is a beautiful essay on math. As math majors, this is you. You follow through the process espoused in this short legend. You are people who have come about courses that have led you to develop the skills that Hippocrates suggested that the physicians have. You have a privileged perspective on what many consider a universal language. It is a beautiful thing to sit down and watch math teachers teach matrices and explain to students how the matrices end up being part of the language of computers and how things are operationalized inside operating systems. It is amazing. It's something that some people barely begin to comprehend. And we live in a technological society. Math is the foundation of all that is called these days STEM disciplines. Yes, even biologists increasingly use math a lot. There's this urban legend that biologists are the scientists that don't like math. No, there's a lot of modeling and computer science used in biology these days. GIS is increasingly used. STEM and math, the foundation of STEM, is ever increasingly more important for us. And with knowledge comes responsibility. This is a quote that I was told comes from a movie, Spider-Man, maybe? I have no idea. Yeah, I think it does come. I have heard it in many versions from many different places. So I will not claim I know where it came from, but I have been referred back to Spider-Man. But I believe that this is true. And you have knowledge that is beyond most people. And okay, I think you may have a responsibility to those who do not see that view of the world. Maybe, maybe not. I will let that you guys decide on that. But I'm going to talk to you about math and education. This is the story of math in schooling. And I hear this all the time. I hate or I love math. There's no in between. There's no lukewarm thing. Oh, I sort of kind of know. Either I love math or I hate math. And if I hate math, it's usually I suck at it. Just for my satisfaction, who here loves math? Who here put their hand up just because they had to? No, just kidding. I do the same thing. I teach chemistry classes, and I teach education classes, and I teach biology classes on campus. When I ask in my chemistry class, who hates math? I kid you not. You're filming me, that's why I have to be polite here. I kid you not, half the class will put their hand up. And I'm like, oh my God. This is gonna be a rough learning experience because the course that I teach actually tries to build up that math foundation that most students are missing from high school. And there's the never-ending idea that I am not good at math. This is really a story of a math teacher. This is not because people innately hate math, or people innately suck at math, or people are innately good at math. This is because people have had an amazing experience in math, or they had a really crappy one. And probably I'll get the same universal response. Many of you can trail back your love of math to a math instructor that you love, that you enjoyed being in class with, that was passionate about teaching, and more importantly, knew their math. Because you came here with a solid enough math foundation that you're almost done with your math program. And that is not an easy feat for people who go through the other side of this path. Yeah, there is no such thing as a math gene. Given enough time, anybody can learn math. Given enough time, anybody can pass Calc 2. I've been told that is horrible. But given enough time, anybody can pass Calc 2. Given enough time, anybody can pass Foundations of Math with an A. Sometimes, you know, we have a little bit of a short time, but all you guys are here because you've gone through this. I think anybody can do it. Genes have nothing to do in this thing. And the reality is most people don't understand math. Many times a high school teacher, an elementary teacher will teach a problem-solving algorithm that the student memorizes, and the understanding of math eludes them. The concept of number eludes them. The concept of mathematical operation eludes them. So what is the situation? And this is where I come here. Again, I'm not here to recruit you, but I want to give you an idea of what lies in the community, in the society that we live in. So this is what we know about STEM disciplines. Content knowledge is the strongest correlate to student performance. In STEM disciplines, Knowing the subject matter is the strongest indicator as to whether or not the student will learn, period. I'll tell you a secret about this. Do you know math teachers have to take a test? Missouri teachers certified in math have to take a test, which is the content test. All disciplines have to take content tests to pass this. All these content tests have a component of pedagogy to them. The STEM tests, all the STEM tests are, I think they are the only ones that have zero pedagogy. You are better off guaranteeing the person knows math than pedagogy. We can train you in the pedagogy. Nobody can learn the math as easily. And the idea is, I think sometimes I just sit up and say, well, really, we should have people learn this better. I don't want to have more people in my chem course coming in with a poor math background. They are enthusiastic about their career choices. They want to enter the STEM disciplines. And they run into this hard brick wall that is, I did not get the math that I needed. All Truman teachers who graduate from our math program, that'll be math teachers, are all math majors. There's no undergrad math education program here for us. Now, if you look at the requirements to teach math, the core requirement in content to teach math is on average 16 to 19 hours of math, on average. Sometimes it's a little bit more. I think the standard deviation, I think it will be, if you stretch it, it could be somewhere between 24 and a minimum of 14 credit hours. That's like a math minor. Think of your math program. You know more math than the vast majority of people teaching math in schools out there today. That is a fact. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. And elementary school math teachers, through no fault of their own, know even less math because they have to be spread. They are spread very thinly across multiple disciplines. So there's even less math here. There's even less understanding of math. In math, in fact, elementary math specialists are very, very, very rare. Even though we have a special certification for them to recognize them and pay them better, they are very hard to find because of the requirements of higher level math. And yes, these are the people who are going to train the next generation of professionals and students. Math teachers are the people who are constantly supplying my STEM classes with new students that have a poor math background. Before I'm making assumptions, who here has the intent to reproduce? Good, that is a good thing. Yep, your offspring will be trained by these teachers. So be aware of this. If you have an intent to reproduce, this is where you are sending your genes to learn math. And remember, there is no math gene. As good as you are at math, you will not be able to transmit that genetically. You will be able to transmit your passion. Have them read The Man Who Counted if they learn a Romance language. It'll be harder in English because there's sections that are missing in the English versions. Your children are gonna be the people trained by, the students trained by these teachers. I come here with the idea that even if you're not going to teach math, you should not be completely oblivious of the math education process. This is basically my pitch today. If you ever have a doubt and you want to be a teacher and this convinces you that you need to be out there, please come to my office. That's as much as I'm going to tell. But if not, please do not. Don't be oblivious to it. Pay attention to what's going on. Get involved if you can. I'm going to let you a little bit of an insight into what I feel about math. And remember, this is coming as far as you guys, when compared to you, I'm a lay person in terms of math. This again is from this collection. Before our astonished eyes, the stars form a luminous caravan that flies across the infinite desert, circling the immense nebulas and planets, following eternal laws from the depths of space and suggesting to us the very precise notion of number. What is number? What is the notion of number to normal people? Why do we have numbers? What is the purpose of numbers to our everyday lives? Anybody?
To describe physical quantities.
To describe physical quantities. Only physical quantities?
My history of math people. What are the two things that people started off using number for? The two basic things that you can do with numbers. What's the basic number? The images,
okay.
What are images used for?
I'm going to put it from a very human perspective. The notion of comparison. Yes? My plot of land is bigger than yours, and we have to invent a way to compare. Quantify, accumulate, and put side by side. This is a bit of a flashback to my youth. When I was, I would say, in middle school? This is the book we were given to learn algebra. What do you notice about this? There's a cultural implication on this, about this, isn't there? Anyone?
It's like saying that all math comes from this area,
What area of the world would this be?
Middle Eastern.
So there's a component of math. Middle East at some point was perceived by many as a source of math. And it's interesting how math transcends culture. Because this guy, Al-Khwarizmi, we pronounce it in Spanish. I can't remember what the pronunciation is in English, or even the proper, what? There we go.
English.
See, I learn something every day. A lot of his work was written in Greek, or translated to Greek, I have no idea. But this area of mankind where you originated the concept of number, the idea of algebra, the idea of the different components of math. It's like the idea of number that, this is another quote from here, that people have that relate maybe to their concept of the universe and the world, the concept of oneness, of God, unity. Isn't there like God, I can't remember this, oneness. There's a mathematical, I can't remember the name right now. When something is not a theorem, it's not being proven yet, what is it?
Conjecture.
A conjecture? Are you familiar with Collat's conjecture? Yes? Who has never heard of Collat's conjecture? Never heard of it? Fun thing. There's a series of operators, a series of conditional operations that result in a sequence that ends up always dividing until it reaches 1. The idea of oneness. I think if it's an even number, you divide by 2. If it's an odd number, you add 1 and divide by 3, or add 3, divide. I can't remember what it is. Add 1, divide, something like that. Add 3, divide by 2. Whatever it is, again, you can tell I'm not a mathematician. I can't even remember Collat's conjecture. But these things are really embedded around culture and society. Notice the idea of measurement, and then the idea that there's some things that are infinite. Is it possible to measure eternity? Never, yet we can operationalize infinity. Can we not? Yes? You bridge these gaps. Like I said, when I read Henry V, I'm like, oh my God, can a person really come up with these dialogues and speeches? When I look at Euler's identity, I see, oh my God, can a person really come up with this equality? This is poetry to me and math and things that you don't see in high school. Things that I speak and you guys sort of kind of comprehend. It's not like I'm talking a foreign language to you. I would do this in my chem class and people were like, you are insane, get out of here. 3 foundations of math. Does this ring all the way back to school for you? This is where we start. The notion of arithmetic, the notion of algebra and symbols, and the notion of size and position and spatial description, as in geometry. And we started with that book, that high school book of mine that was related to algebra. And sometimes even the arithmetic is rough for people. And I enjoy a small challenge here, and I love the explanations that come out of it for math majors. Are you up for a math challenge, an arithmetical math challenge? So you can explain to me a mathematical pattern that I can't explain. Fair enough? You have a calculator with you. Take out your phones and open up your calculator. And this is something I could not show to anyone. I want you to do the following operation for me. Tell me what answer you get. It's math and magic. For you guys, it's probably normal. For me, it's magical. What do you notice?
14 moves to the end.
14 moves to the end, and you get that? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, can you repeat it and do it times 3, please? Okay, I'm beginning to see eyes that are finding a pattern here. What do you find?
Just the 1 moves to the end.
So but the numbers are there. Yes? Okay, okay. Do it by 5, please. Is there an explanation for this thing at this point? Does it always do this? Well, I'll throw a challenge at you. Do it by 11. Actually, do it by 11. Do it by 11. What do you get? Is the number there? Are the digits all there? Are you sure they are not there? What digits do I get?
157, 1427.
157, 1427. Who is missing? 8. But 1 plus 7 is 8. Is this, what is it? Can somebody tell me what this is?
I kind of think there's just a lot of numbers and weird stuff that's going to happen eventually.
So it is magic. I could probably call this magic.
I think the interesting question is how it was found.
I'll make a crazier one. Want to see? Can I do something crazy with this number again? Why don't you take that number and multiply it by 7? I am awed by math. That is, these are literally. Anybody want to attempt an explanation for me? Because
If you really want a good explanation, ask Sam Hunsell. She's doing her capstone, actually, that includes this thing here. And she go into a lot more detail. So
I can't. I only know the number, and I only know there's a lot of numbers, and eventually weird stuff is going to happen. But it's weird. I think the 7 part is the weirdest part. I don't know. How was it found? I don't know. Want to know where I found it? That book that I told you about. Let me take you back to the idea of being a teacher. A teacher can bring things like amazement to students. Hopefully, I was able to amaze you a little bit in a field in which you are experts more than I am. And with something as simple as arithmetic, because of course, the more complex stuff I can't do. I have to go all the way down to arithmetic to be able to do this. Teachers come from a variety of backgrounds. And I'm going to show you something. This is 2017. This is 3 years ago. The reality is this has not changed much. I was looking up for the new data set, but they want to charge me $200 to get it. So I'm like, yeah, no. I know the situation is shitty. I don't need to pay $200 to find out again, but I already know. So shortage, considerable surplus. The reality is when we go into most educational fields, we have a nice mix. Yes, we have a nice mix. When we go, of course, to the rarer languages, we're going to have a little bit more. But look at when you go to math and science education. And you can't see it. Let me move it further up. Math and science education. That is region 4. That is the Midwest area that corresponds to Missouri. This is what it looks like. What do you notice about the darkest reds in our area? They have probably the highest level of math involved in them. Now, this does not paint a pretty picture in terms of people's prospect of connecting and developing a society that is increasingly more technological. I want you to bear that in mind. The reality is we do not have all the teachers we'd like to have. And math is very easy to combine with physics or other high demand areas. Math teachers with physics backgrounds or chemistry backgrounds are highly sought after because there's not enough people to get to teach physics courses or chemistry courses. Usually, sometimes the math teacher, even if they have no background in physics, are asked to teach the physics or the physical science because there's math and a lot of math. And, you know, it is a career that's not only personally rewarding, it can be financially very stable. You do get minimum standards for payments, and you do get improved payments based on the work you do. So it's not somebody deciding whether you're promoted or not. There's actually scales that are set by the set, and you know how much your salary will go up as you get increasing qualifications. Just as a hint, our master's students go out with a master's plus 18 hours, I think, which puts you above the normal pay scale that beginning teachers have. If any of you is interested in producing wonder in kids and ever considers, not now, could be 2, 3, 4 years down the line, there are multiple paths through which you can go into teaching. Us, we are the best. Let's face it, we are the best. I have followed educational systems in 3, 4 different, 5 different countries. This is the best model you will have for science and math preparation. People who are experts in their area and who have graduate coursework in their area. Here you get 18 graduate hours of coursework. So for those of you who don't know what that means, that actually means that you are qualified to teach dual credit. These days, not anybody, many of you probably brought dual credit in. Calculus, probably, maybe Calc 2. Only teachers that have a master's degree and 18 graduate hours of math are qualified to teach dual credit these days. All math teachers from Truman graduate with those qualifications. So yeah, we are the best, there's no doubt about that, but there are alternatives for those who do not want the best. If you ever feel the itch to get involved and be a part of education actively, you have alt-cert programs. Teach for America is one. It is a trial by fire, survival from the frying pan into the fire kind of survival thing. You jump in, they'll give you support, and those who survive, yay, and those who don't, well, you can try again. Not a problem. They have master's program for alt-cert. UMSL has a good master's program for alt-cert. So people with a degree can actually opt to go into alt-cert programs. Usually alt-cert programs also involve a master's. Not necessarily with the graduate hours in math. There will be a master's in education or a master's in teaching, but no emphasis on upper level math. And we have two other paths, a provisional or temporary certifications, which allow people who are working. So if you are working and you want to get these certifications, you can go to high needs academic areas. Remember those things in red? Yeah, math qualifies. And you can get a job in teaching and then go through a accelerated program. Again, you don't have the qualifications for dual credit. You will have less formation, but it is a path, and some people will choose to take it. There's an American Board Teacher of Excellence that requires a degree plus experience and coursework in your content area. So there are multiple paths to this. Is teaching the only way to make this better? No, I can't, we don't have enough math teachers, but there's so much more interesting things in life than to teach math. However, being involved in math education is something everybody can do. As you can tell by the name and by the expressions I use, I am a foreigner. One of the beautiful things that you find in this country is the ability of communities to run their schools, especially their public schools. Nobody in their right mind, where I come from, will send their child to a public school. Ever. They're free. And if you have a choice, you'll send them to the worst possible private school rather than a public school. And it is because it is run centrally by the government, and they have no perception of community needs. It is a beautiful thing that the communities here get to decide how their schools are run. And you are prepared to help with that. You have logical reasoning and mathematical skills beyond that of your normal math teacher. You heard me from the beginning. That is something that you do have. And you should consider becoming part of the people who help this. It's a service for the community thing, but a number of you want to reproduce, that's where your kids are going to be going to school. Might as well get involved. Might as well make sure that you get the best possible instructors and the best possible curriculum to teach. And always remember, the best math teachers are produced by us. Yes? Not that I'm advertising anything. You can get 18 graduate hours in math and can teach college in your free time and make a little bit of side cash. You can do that. Not a problem. And you don't require certification. You don't have to pass a test. Colleges, community colleges are more than happy to have people that have master's degrees or graduate coursework in math teaching their math courses. And as a parent, of course, your kids have the best possible math tutor they can ever get. There's no such thing as a math gene, but by golly, there is a parent who is passionate about math. That is true. So yes, don't be afraid. You guys are going to be great parents, and your children are safe from what I have just described. So what are the requirements to be a member of the school board? Who can list them? Who can tell me one? Who can tell me the minimum education requirement to be a member of the school board? That's an easy one. No idea? Who has no idea? I had no idea when I arrived here. I was clueless. I was expecting the best of the best. There's no need for any of the following. You don't have to be a college graduate. You do not have to be a high school graduate. And you do not have to have a graduation from your elementary school. So, as far as I can see, the education requirements are 0. What can you do? Determine and approve who is qualified to teach, and determine the curriculum and the teaching that takes place in public school classrooms. You get to decide that, even if you've never been a part of it. Who is mildly scared by that notion? Mildly scared by that notion. So I told you I thought it was a wonderful thing that you get to decide what is taught in schools, right? This makes it a little bit scary. But there is hope. Where is there hope? You. People in this classroom. People in this classroom who are willing to get involved because they are part of the community and their children will be part of the community. This is something you need to consider. Do I want to be involved in this? Maybe. Maybe it's something you want to do. You know what? Bottom line is you can always be involved as a parent. Help them in math-heavy classes. And this is a part I wanted to touch upon. Yes, with knowledge comes responsibility, but don't let that responsibility get to your head. I think there's a measure of humility, of modesty, ability to be humble and understand that you know more. By probability, you will know more math than anybody who's ever going to teach math to your kids, unless they're a Truman grad. If they're a Truman grad, you will be, at the very least, capable of talking about things. Don't ever present a negative image of a teacher. That teacher knows no math. It is possible the teacher knows very little math compared to you. Actually, it's quite likely. Don't make a point of highlighting that. Make a point of letting your kid know that, yes, there is more math, and yes, you can help. Don't suggest the teacher be ignored, and talk to the teacher first. And teachers can get defensive. You know who the worst patient is when a medical doctor and an MD has to attend to what the worst patients they can get are? Nurses and doctors. Nurses and doctors are the worst patients ever. Please don't be that mathematician. You know better. You can offer suggestions. Maybe train the teacher, tutor the teacher, help the teacher with the math, especially elementary teachers. It's not that they're not willing to learn. Many of them are willing to learn. Consider some kind of professional development. Consider tutoring kids and show up to events of the school. Get involved in that. With knowledge comes responsibility, ladies and gents. That's what I have to share with you guys today. Any questions for me? Any thoughts and ideas? Anything you'd like to know more about? All good?
All good.
Stop recording me now?
I'll put the pressure off you then, don't worry.